Record button on both.
Oops.
We're going live, episode 279.
I just had 53 kills in Call of Duty. Does that make me feel cool?
Did you really?
Is Call of Duty cross-platform?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if I play on PS4, I could play with you potentially?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct. That is accurate.
I tried to get you some new followers, Brent, on Twitch by putting it into the Twitch subreddits that I got a bunch of my followers from.
Uh-huh. It didn't work.
And no, it didn't. Sorry.
It did not work. Oh shit, did my stream stop? No. What's going on? It's got
It's so weird how this background works. Like if I put my hand up right there, you can't see the heater. Hold up. Yeah. But then like the mic will come into focus.
Yeah. I don't know.
I gotta go plug in Duke Silver.
Whoa.
Oh, that's not good. There we go.
See. We got the news. I also need box office.
I have the window open. You'll have to let me know if that's too noisy.
It sounds better than it's been. So hopefully it remains good. Testing sound. Okay, it works. It's just good to know it works, you know? In a time where shit doesn't always work correctly, it's good to know that I can always count on the visual reaction to that sound to know that you heard it.
True.
There you go. I'm just gonna.
Oh, that's interesting. On Twitch, it seems like everything's backwards. Oh wow! Now I'm seeing the resize that you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild.
So you're gonna get big, and then I'm gonna shrink you back, and then you're gonna get smaller because it's gonna try to resize. But I can't leave it like that because sometimes it'll be minutes before it like resizes.
Uh-huh.
So I'm constantly, while we're recording, like trying to figure out your size. Eventually, it a lot of times it'll go a long time without doing it. So it's not like a constant thing, but sometimes it'll do it consistently for a long stretch. And it feels like the only thing I'm doing is resizing the video. Well, you can really tell that window's open now.
No, that would have happened either way. For a quiet Massachusetts sleepy town, we get a lot of police action. It's probably just because of a lot of old people.
That was an ambulance.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah.
Wow. That was something. Okay, now I need...
Only 2 people in stream and chat. Who's Duke Silver? Hello, Duke Silver.
Duke Silver is our #1 fan.
He's our #1 fan, picking up steam.
Hell yeah.
It's always here.
Love that dude. The devil
I use my VPN
all the time.
to go to Netflix in London. They have way more shit than we do.
Yeah, they do.
Way
I
more.
use my VPN to check out Netflix all the time. Matter of fact, I went to the Amazon Prime in Europe, and they've got like all mad crap like that we don't get. Like a lot of HBO shows. Day after, you can watch them on Amazon Prime in Europe.
Yeah, but we have stuff they don't have. So, you know,
like Freedom.
Tit for tat. Not touching that one. That's bait.
Yeah. I think like a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff is, well, that's for anime heads, I guess, or anime fans.
Yeah, I think you mean Studio Gerbil.
Studio Gerbil.
That shit made me almost spit out my drink whenever I read that. For those of you that aren't in the Cinema Chat DM thread, there is a patron that will remain nameless that took umbrage with Dawson's pick for next week, our watch party for tomorrow night. And him and Dawson started going back and forth, and Dawson asked him, "Well, what animated movie would you like me to review? Something from Studio Gerbil." It's like when I read it, I could not control myself. I was laughing so hard. I don't know why Studio Gerbil got me so well, but it sure did. Oh man, good times.
That DM thread got wild.
It got hot for a second. It did get hot.
I asked for a recommendation. I never got one. So
yeah, don't worry. I was like, why didn't you recommend something to? And I didn't get a satisfactory answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take something. Like, give me something that's out of my format. I don't know.
We all have
a lot of stuff.
We all have our formats that we like. It's okay.
I watched a lot of stuff this week.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it because I don't think I watched anything. I can't think of anything that I watched. So.
Oh, this week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'll fill that space.
That's what she said. All right. Are we ready to get started?
I think so. I'm just gonna look up what I watched real quick on Netflix.
I've just been watching. Did you hear? I've just been watching. I've just been watching The Office. Like whenever I'm like playing Fall Guys, I just have The Office playing on the other screen. I don't think I've really watched. Is there a way you can see your Netflix view history?
Oh yeah, go into your manage profiles. No, go to account, and then scroll down to the profile you want to check out, and click on it, and then there's viewing activity.
Okay, cool.
Wait, where was that?
Okay.
Account.
Okay.
And then you click on your profile, and then viewing activity.
Yeah, only thing I've watched other than The Office, this month on Netflix, well, the last 2 weeks has been The Social Dilemma and The Devil All the Time. So that's it. I've just been watching The Office.
I started The Social Dilemma, couldn't finish it just because it's one of those things. I don't know. It's just like I know all this information, kind of a thing. So it's like I don't know why I'm watching this.
Yeah, it's like 95% stuff that I already had a pretty good grasp on. But I thought that they presented it in an interesting way, and it was interesting to, like, even though you know it, I found it interesting to hear it from the people that like created it. So I thought that at least that part of it made it interesting. It's sort of more of a confirmation.
It kind of felt like listening to Frankenstein talk about how he made his monster and now he regrets everything. But it's like, yeah, but you're still rich, you know? It rings a bit hollow when it's like you screwed this world over to a certain extent and now you regret it. Oh, okay.
I don't know. At least that
never, I guess.
At least that one dude was trying to take steps to correct it.
Right, and like I said, I didn't watch all of it. You know, like I think I may have gotten 30 minutes in, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that point of view. I think
it's pretty cool. The last half hour is a lot about like what we're facing right now.
Uh-huh.
So that was cool. It was like coronavirus and fake news and like how fast things can spread, and we're all kind of in our own realities because you see your feed and you see what you follow.
Yeah.
So that's your reality. Nothing else matters. Like you can see your timeline in your tiny town with no cases of coronavirus, or you could live in New York where everyone has it's everywhere. So that's the two different sides, right? And there's no way to explain that's why we get in arguments online because we can't alter your view of reality because that's what all you see is your timeline and the things that you want to believe. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I guess the problem is like a lot of people don't look like I think, and I'm sure all of us do it, but like we look for like multiple sources before we're like, yeah,
Yeah.
this, because like there's so many times, and I think also because we grew up with the technology, so like there was a time when I would just see a story and like just, oh my God, can you believe this, and retweet it. Now I'm like, let me check this. Like there's even maybe 5-6 years ago, there were times where I was just getting so frustrated with people. I'd be like, will you please, before you share this on Facebook, go to Snopes.com. Just go there once. And it's so frustrating to see people still do that. It's like, how many times are you gonna get fooled with some story to find out that it's not the truth? Like great example is this story recently, and I think it was just yesterday, where like this guy was like, oh yeah, these Black Lives Matter people burned down my house because I put down Trump's flags or something. And it's like, come on, dude. Nobody believes that's what happened. It's like, give it a week.
Guess where that
was?
was?
And it's gonna find out that you burned your own place down.
It's in Minneapolis.
It was like 10 minutes from my parents' house.
Yeah, and it's just like,
anarchists aren't going to spray paint a big A with a circle around it. Nobody does that. You Googled what do anarchists do? Like
exactly, and because like, and that's what happens when you're living in your own bubble. Because in that bubble, that Trump bubble, they don't know what the real anarchist looks like, And in their world, anarchists are Biden fans, so it makes sense to put a Biden. But like in the real world, anarchists don't like Joe Biden.
They don't like anybody. That's the point of anarchy.
Exactly.
But yeah, so
it just reminded me of the driveway that had Black's Rule,
right?
Spray painted out with the burnt Confederate flag. Like, come on, man.
That's how these young kids talk, right?
You trying to sell that shit? Oh shit! All right, I need to do a little housekeeping.
I watched a movie a day.
A movie a day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched quite a few movies this week.
Well,
a couple of mine have asterisks because like I needed something on while I was working, doing mindless shit all week.
Yeah.
So
that's The Office for me.
But like it's movies I've seen, so it doesn't count. Except for actually, you know what?
I don't know that I really need to hear about the movies that you've seen before.
No, I mean
just the new shit.
Like I watched Sex Drive today. Does that count?
It would have counted in 2007.
But it's one of those. It's one of those movies. It's like a guilty pleasure movie. It's so bad. It's on Netflix now.
What movie?
Sex Drive.
You ever seen it?
Oh, that's a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
Good times. All right. Well, if you guys are ready to get started.
Real quick, but what I think is funny about Sex Drive is like it came out like when it came out at a time when I was like, are we not done with these movies? Because it felt like so far removed from like the Euro Trip and American Pie movies, and then like that movie came out and was so good, and I was like, it was like it was late, but it was worth the wait.
It was in 2008. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's on TV, so it's been a long time since I've seen it rated R. So there's definitely some words that don't fly today, and I was like, oh, naked ladies. All right.
I watched Accepted this week.
That's a great one too. I love them.
Now that you mentioned that, it's been a long time since I've seen that one.
South Harmon Institute of Technology.
The shit sandwiches.
The shit sandwiches.
Oh shit! All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this. 3, 2. It's Rob and Brent and my Reggie dude, and don't forget it also features Dawson too. We gonna give you all the dope reviews, but first we'll hit on all the movie news. Cha-ching, cha-ching, box office due. In between the news and the reviews, there's not a lot that we don't do, so turn the volume up, cause we coming through. Put your headphones on and tie your shoes. Jackman and Grant, we got all the views. We're like Brando in Godfather 2. We're gonna make a podcast you can't refuse. This is the Cinema Chat Podcast, and we know a lot about movies. Welcome back. You know what? I'm going to take that back again. I got a text message right whenever I was getting ready to say that, and I started to read the text message instead of doing the intro. So welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cinema Chat Podcast with Rob and Brent and Reggie, featuring Dawson. I'm Brent.
I'm Reggie.
And I'm featuring Dawson.
I'm going to try to remember to edit that out. Chances are it's going to stay in because I won't remember. But, this week we're here to review a brand new Netflix movie starring Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson called The Devil All the Time. But before we get there, we should make note that Rob is not here this week. We hope that he's able to come back next week. Rob, hope you're doing well. Now that we've got all that business out of the way, it's typical week. We got the box office, the movie news, we got our movie review, but there's a question that I have to ask you guys every week, and I know that you have a lot of stuff that you've watched.
Busy week.
What did we watch this week? Let us give you a peek. We'll get to the news real soon. First, listen to this little tune. Give us the attention we seek while we tell you what we watched this week. Tell him, Rob. What did you see? Tell them. They want to know.
And I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, I've been watching nothing but The Office, so I don't really have anything. But Dawson, I can't wait to hear about what you've watched.
I got a doozy of a list. I watched 6 new things to me this week.
6?
I watched 6
in a row.
Not in a yes, in a row.
6 in a row.
I watched Class Action Park on HBO Max.
Oh,
Documentary
that's
about action.
I want to watch that.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
It's a documentary about this this theme park in New Jersey where anything would go, and there was tons of injuries and deaths and lawsuits left and right. So Class Action Park.
So
on,
I
HBO Max.
I saw the Johnny Knoxville movie in theaters. That's about that amusement park. It's called Action Park, and it's not a great movie, but there's some funny stuff in it. But I want to watch that documentary. I've been eyeing that up. I kind of forgot that it was out there.
It's only an hour and a half, so it's easy watch. I watched Alive, the Korean zombie film on Netflix.
Me too.
Really, really good. I like that a lot. My wife and I watched a movie on Saturday that I've never seen before, but I enjoy it and I recommend it. It's called The Spy Who Dumped Me.
Kate McKinnon, Mila Kunis.
We watched it because she's like, "What's this?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let's check it out." And she thought it was going to be something. It's way more violent, so that she kind of punched out like an hour into it. There was too much like killing and violence. But it's a fun action movie. So check that out. I watched Midnight Special on Netflix, sci-fi movie. I saw an article that was like, this mind-blowing sci-fi movie's on Netflix, and I watched it, and it's meh.
What is it about?
So there's a father and a son. He takes this father is played by Michael Shannon. He takes his son. His son's got like these light beams coming out of his eyes, and if you look into him, you see visions. And he can connect with satellites, and he's basically trying to get him away from the government to the spot for something big to happen. Kirsten Dunst is in it. Adam Driver's in it.
More.
It's just kind of a slow burn, but it's a solid sci-fi movie. I think you might like it more than I do, Reggie, just because you're bigger into sci-fi.
I think I have it on my queue, and I just haven't pulled the trigger to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's a little slower, but it's fine. The end, I'm not crazy about the ending. That was kind of dumb. I watched Guns Akimbo today. That's a Daniel Craig movie. It was all right,
Daniel
crazy.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Or Daniel Radcliffe, sorry. And then on my birthday, I decided to hate watch The Ridiculous Six because I've never finished it. So I watched that all the way through, and I didn't hate it that much. I didn't like it, but it's not as bad as everybody said. The cast in that thing is insane. It's every person is that movie.
That doesn't. It's
I know.
It's a terrible movie.
Like, you're like, wow, who's that? But it's better than A Million Ways to Die in the West.
I mean, that's debatable, I guess.
It is.
I mean,
so anyways, yeah.
Why would you do that on your birthday? That was your birthday?
I figured it could only look up from there. I don't know.
You're like, let me start my birthday off with a bang, motherfucker. Let's watch The Ridiculous Six on Netflix. That sounds amazing.
See, I
don't know. Like,
I didn't make it through like the first 20 minutes of the first time I watched it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this and see how bad it really is.
That's a Sandler guy right there saying that.
Dedication. No.
Reggie, were you just getting ready to say, I get it?
I do get it. Because, like, Jonathan rented this movie from Redbox that we're just itching to watch. I think it's called Money Plane. Let me just read off this cast.
Dude, that's got Edge, the wrestler Edge in it.
Yes.
And Kelsey Grammer, right?
Right.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
Grammer.
I want to watch that because I hear it's like the worst thing ever.
Right. I mean, just listen to this cast. Edge, Thomas Jane, Joey Lawrence, Kelsey Grammer, Denise Richards. Like, this is going to be a spectacularly bad movie. I can't wait to watch it.
I want to watch that movie. I told Dawson like a month ago, whenever it came out on VOD, I was like, we should do a watch party. Not like for the show, but we should just do a watch party together to watch this because it's got a wrestler in it and it's going to be spectacularly bad. So I thought it'd be a good watch. Before I forget, I'm going to watch Console Wars on CBS All Access next week at some point. If you are listening to this and you would like to watch Console Wars on Discord with me one night, please let me know. I think Dawson and I are going to try to set up a night for us to watch it. I know a lot of people don't have CBS All Access. So if you're interested in watching it,
People who are in CBS All Access shows don't have CBS All Access.
I can maybe hook you up with a viewing party on Discord. So I'm interested. I love video game documentaries for some reason. Like I've never seen a video game documentary that I didn't love. So I'm excited about this one. But yeah, I'm going to watch that. Reggie, what else did you watch this week?
Okay, so I'm just going to speed through some of the things I watched. Grave Encounters, which is a... Jonathan had never seen it, so I said, like, we should watch this because we were looking for, like, a horror movie. And it's basically a found footage movie. Only reason I mention it is because I hate found footage movies. Mm-hmm. And this is, like, one of the best. Like, it is legit a great recommend. So if you are... into like, and I think it's a great horror movie for people who don't like horror, so it's something I think you should check out. But I watched that. What else did I watch? This movie, it was like a Viking horror movie, Drog. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's very much an independent film, but it's filmed in an interesting way. But it's like, If this movie had a lot of money for it, it would have been much better, but it was still good considering everything that had going for it. And then,
hold on.
So those were on Amazon. Then on Netflix.
Hold on. I just want to ask you before you move on. How do you settle on a movie like that? Like, how did you come across that and think I should watch this?
Because it was a recommendation from Podcastitude.
Okay.
Podcastitude, and I think Ian and we were talking about horror movies, and I was basically complaining that there aren't a lot of good horror movies out. And then Podcastitude mentioned that movie, and I said, well, I'll throw it on the list, and I watched it. So
Okay.
that's how that came. But then also I watched on Netflix Black Sea, which is a submarine movie and a heist movie, which is pretty good. Yeah, I was shocked with how good that was.
Better than Hunter Killer?
Oh, definitely. Then I watched this movie Villain, Babysitter Killer Queen, which is kind of a big deal, I guess, now on Netflix. And then lastly, a movie I didn't get to finish, The Take. And here's why I didn't finish the movie. It's part in it's like in French and English, because it has like American actors and English actors, and then it's in French as well. And the problem is the first 15 minutes, whenever the French speakers are speaking, there are subtitles. After that, for whatever reason, Netflix knows about the problem because people have been complaining about it for months, apparently. There are no French subtitles. So you don't understand half the movie. And the first time it happened, I thought it was a choice because there was a person in the scene who didn't speak English. So I thought the French people were speaking French so that the other person didn't know what they were doing, because it made sense that they would speak French so this person would understand what they're talking about. But then it kept happening. I was like, no, they're just missing the subtitles.
So you thought they were trying to put you in the shoes of that character? Like, yes, you don't know what's going on?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a great choice. As a director, I was like, that's brilliant, because like I knew that what they were talking about was kind of important, but that's not what it was. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because if you look on Netflix, it is like number 5 in America. And I'm like, that's bullshit. There's no way that like this movie will move up to number 5 with half of the movie just, you can't understand what's going on. So I'm like, it made me really question Netflix and their little algorithm about what's popular or not.
You can't put stock in their top 10. I've never believed their top 10. It just, it's too volatile. And like, if something's really hot, it shoots to number 1, then it goes down to number 3. But the things that are in first and second, I'm like, there's no way that's more popular than what's in number 3. Like, there's absolutely no way. Like, fucking Tiger King was on everyone's minds for like 2 straight weeks, and then all of a sudden it's down at number 8, and there's movies from like 2005 ahead of it on the Netflix top. I'm like, no, that's not true. They're just trying to get people to watch different things, and that's their way of doing it. They're like, oh yeah, this is popular. I'm not saying it's not popular, but I think those numbers that they put beside it mean absolutely nothing. And it's almost always Netflix original stuff.
Exactly.
Too.
Exactly.
So,
or something that's new to Netflix.
So yeah, I don't put a lot of stock. I think that they are popular things. I think that there might be a lot of people starting that movie because maybe they've heard about the issue with the subtitles or something like that.
The reason I even watched it was because Idris Elba was in it. I was like, oh, well, let me watch this. So like I could believe that a lot of people clicked on that because of that reason, but they continued watching it. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long you have to watch it for it to count as a view.
Question 2.
So I don't really know where we're at with that, but I don't put a lot of stock in that top 10. But anything else before we move on to the movie news?
No, that's just about all that I watched this week.
That's about all I have to say about that.
The news is on.
Insightful.
Good news.
If the headline is big enough, it makes the news big enough.
Timely.
The news goes on for 24 hours a day.
Well prepared.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Well, I got some bad news for you.
Do you want the Aladdin news or the Aladdin news?
The Aladdin news?
This is movie news.
All right, I put together the movie news this week. First up, The Rock. he's shooting Black Adam now. They're finally in the process of making that film. They're back from coronavirus. I'm done with the renovations joke. Are we done with it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it
I
over?
appreciate you.
Okay.
It's over. It's over, Johnny.
It's over. It was fun while it lasted, guys. But coronavirus is a real thing. But The Rock is filming Black Adam, and the other morning he went to go to set, and I guess there was a power outage at his house, and the gate at the end of the driveway wouldn't open up, and apparently there's no fallback for if that doesn't work. So what does The Rock do if he's late to get to the set? The Rock takes this giant steel door and rips it straight off of its hinges and throws it into the front yard. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting story. I thought it was worthy of movie news because if you see the picture of this gate, it is a massive steel gate. Like, this is a not fucking around gate on his driveway. And he ripped it right from the brick off of its hinges and tossed it into the yard. Because he couldn't wait 45 minutes for the people to show up to help him get out. They told him they could be there in less than an hour. This motherfucker's like, nah, I got people waiting on me. Incredible Hulk smash. Just rip that shit right off. That's how you know you're a big, strong dude. Whenever you can rip a steel gate out of the brick and off of the hinge. I mean, it's fucking impressive. And I almost wonder if one day he was like looking at that gate and he's like, I wonder if I could rip that off. And then the power went out and he's like, guess we're about to find out if I can rip that bitch off that wall. We got an Instagram post, folks.
That's what I need to see. I need to see the security cam footage of him doing it because he's got security cameras at his front gate.
He has to
release that, and then I'll believe it's real.
You're calling shenanigans?
I mean, come on. I ripped it. He probably drove into it or something. Hooked up to his truck.
Oh, Dawson's calling shenanigans.
I'm just saying, like, it got 100 million likes on Instagram.
Ryan Reynolds
and
said
he's got 15 garbage cans. Why do you have so many garbage cans?
It's for all that food he eats.
Right. All the packaging for the protein.
Ryan Reynolds said all he had to do was push the gate the other way. He didn't. He just pushed it the wrong way initially. But I thought that was funny. The Rock's a big dude, former wrestler. You know who else is a big dude and a former wrestler? John Cena. You know who's getting their own HBO Max show for their Suicide Squad character? Peacemaker. John Cena. You know who's directing and shepherding that show? Not John Cena. It's James Gunn.
But who's going to watch that show?
Dawson and Brent. Who has two thumbs is going to watch Peacemaker on HBO Max?
I'm going to watch it too. It's a comic book show. I got to watch it.
But do you know who else is going to watch it?
Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's.
But do you know who else is going to watch it?
No, really this time. Do you know who's going to watch it? So, I, for a long time, was not excited about anything that Warner Brothers had to do. Then somebody finally came along and put out Birds of Prey, and I was like, holy shit, they can make a decent movie. And then James Gunn is hopping on board with Suicide Squad, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's up. And then we got the trailer that showed all the characters, and I don't know a lot about the characters, but there was some weird characters in that trailer.
Because they're all E-list characters.
But dude, I'm here. I am here for that. I am here for it because it looks fucking awesome, like campy, superhero awesome, and I'm here for it.
I don't know.
You know what? I was talking to Jonathan about this, and I realized that the problem that I have with this movie, and again, we haven't seen a trailer or anything except for the teaser thing, is I really love the Suicide Squad, and I feel like this is going to be a movie where we're laughing at the Suicide Squad, and I don't want people laughing at my Suicide Squad.
Oh, you big baby.
Yes, and I know what that is. Like, I know exactly how that sounds. It's like they're not making the movie I want them to make, and it kind of bugs me. And it shouldn't, but it's like that's the ultimate like fanboy complaint, you know? And that's exactly, and I'm very self-aware of it because as I was saying, I was like, damn it, that's because I'm like, I'm looking at all these people that they put up there. I'm like, nah, that guy's gonna die. I'm like, there's gonna be like a scene where like 4 or 5 people get killed in one shootout, and I'm like, I know what this is gonna be, and it's gonna be like slapsticky, campy, and I'm like, I wish they would make a serious Suicide Squad movie, and I'm gonna have to just go in there and enjoy it for what it is, and not for what I want it to be, and so like that's a me thing, and I realize that now.
I'm here for the camp. Like they've shown me the. Sorry, Dawson, go ahead. You've been trying to talk for like 5 minutes.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say like I didn't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy before James Gunn and crew rolled up, right? So like, and those are some of the best characters in the Marvel universe. So like, I didn't know who Groot. Who gives a shit about Groot? He's a tree, but he's awesome. And like, I don't know. I think it'll be fun, and I think they're gonna have fun with it. And I think that's gonna show. And I think it's gonna be. I think it'll probably be a good movie.
And I think my issue is so far the only success that they've had post Nolan in the DC universe. I guess say whatever you want about Man of Steel. Like Man of Steel is a good movie, I'll give you that. But post Man of Steel, I'll say the only success that they've really had, in my opinion, is Birds of Prey. And Birds of Prey was a movie that didn't take itself seriously. So I'm looking forward to a movie that's sort of in the same vein as that. And with James Gunn doing it, the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, like I'm on board with all the pieces of this movie. Whereas 3 years ago, whenever they said they were doing Suicide Squad 2, it was the last thing I ever wanted. Like I don't want that. But now I'm all in. And I'm all in on this John Cena Peacemaker HBO Max show, partially because I just love that fucking costume that he's in. I don't know what that is, but I love it. I'm here for it. Can't wait. Can't fucking wait. Are you gonna watch it, Reggie? That HBO Max show?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
You called it stunt casting. Now,
okay.
I want you to explain that on the show because I want to talk through that.
Because it's the reason I call it stunt casting is because the reason it's being made is not because anybody gives a flying fuck about Peacemaker. It's being made because it's John Cena, and I get that, but like that's the definition of stunt casting. It's like Peacemaker's like he's like a Z level person. Like the guy who created Peacemaker doesn't know who Peacemaker is. Like it's such a weird thing for weird person to get a movie. It's beyond bizarre. I mean, not a movie spinoff. So
let me play devil's advocate here because I don't know any more about what's going on than you do, and we'll wait for that. But they've already shot Suicide Squad. They already have the footage. What if they got John Cena on set? And him and James Gunn are really good together. And Peacemaker is like the fucking star of the movie. John Cena gives the best performance. Like it's a great character. And then they give it the show. Like at that point, is it really stunt casting if they've seen what the character is? And they're like, oh, this character, this actor in this role, that would make a great show. Is that really stunt casting? Because I don't think it is. Now, if they were just going to pluck John Cena out and say, okay, what's a character we can give him? I don't know, Vin Diesel Bloodshot kind of deal. But if they just plucked him and plucked a character and just gave it a show, I might agree with you. But they have footage of him playing this role. They already know what he's like in this role. What if he's just really great and it's going to be an awesome show? Is that still stunt casting at that point?
So you're telling me that this could have been Pete Davidson's show?
Maybe. Why not?
Pete Davidson was really good in the movie. Like,
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. But the fact that I don't know is also the same as you not knowing. Because you're making an assumption.
How Hollywood works. I think what it is James Gunn and John Cena really had a lot of fun together and said we should do something else or something. Like, I do not think that people at Warner Brothers were so impressed with John Cena. They're like, let's give him a show. No, I take it back. That they were so impressed with this character that they were like, let's give this character a show. I could believe that it was like, I'm so impressed with John Cena, or I'm impressed with what, James Gunn was like, I really like working with John Cena, so I want to do more. But the idea that Peacemaker was so, like, just transformative that they would give him a show, nah.
So here's the difference between your argument and my argument. My argument is based on hypothesis. Your argument is based on assumption. Like, I'm not saying like this is the case, and I feel like you're saying like, nah, we know how this is happening. This is what it is. Blah 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 blah. So I don't know. I feel like you might turn out to be right. I might be right.
I'm making an assumption based on how we know how Hollywood works. Yes, it is an assumption, but it's not something I'm pulling out of my ass.
I don't know. Maybe you are. We'll see. You know who else is pulling something out of their ass? We were just talking about HBO Max, and I feel like HBO Max is trying to pull something out of their ass and give it to us with this Snyder cut. Because, as we've been saying, this is not the Zack Snyder Justice League we were going to be getting. They have a $70 million budget for the Snyder cut, and it's going back to do reshoots.
When they say that there's a $70 million budget, is that on top of what they've already spent?
Yes.
For this movie?
Yes. That is production budget.
All comes out, this might be like one of the most expensive projects / movies ever created. I mean, it's definitely going to be the most expensive miniseries, right?
I don't know. I would need to. It's kind of hard to say because some of that money's rolled into the production budget of the film proper. So I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know the inner workings. I don't, contrary to popular belief, I don't know everything about how Hollywood operates. I don't know the way the books are done. So I couldn't tell you, but I know that whenever you have a movie that you supposedly already had 3.5 hours of footage for, and you're going back to do reshoots, and it has a $70 million budget on top of what you've already done, that seems like a lot of money, and it seems like a lot of work going into something that was sort of already visualized and sort of canned. Because it seemed like he was almost done whenever they parted ways and they sort of redid the movie, right? So if he was almost done, what's all this money? And what's with the reshoots? How extensive are these reshoots? You know what? We're never going to know. And I realize that can go one of two ways. It can be the fact that he just needs to pick up a couple of shots and then he'll be done. Like he had a couple things that he didn't have and then he'll be done. But it could also be like, well, shit, now I want to do this. I've got a half an hour worth of footage that I need to go film, which feeds into our stance that this is not the movie that he was going to deliver. And I'm just, it's irritating to me that the hindsight that he has is going to turn into him getting praise and sort of proving that Warner Brothers was wrong. when I don't
I
necessarily
think
think
that's
they
at the
were.
end of the day. At the end of the day, I think what you're saying is what bugs me. Like, I'm still excited for it. Like, I see those trailers and it looks it really does look like a different movie. Like,
Mhm.
he had a different idea and all that, and I'm like really excited to see what he is going to produce. But at the end of the day, we're not going to get the movie that he would have put in theaters, and so like there's no way for us to, and because of that, there's no way for us to say Warner Brothers screwed the pooch and Joss Whedon gave us an inferior product. You know, like there's no way for us to ever really know who was right or wrong about that. And like that's the whole point of the Snyder Cut, in my opinion. The whole point is to find out, are we living in like the worst timeline where where we were deprived of a really great Justice League movie, and we'll just never know.
Yeah. And I want to clarify, like, I want the movie to be good. Like, I'm not sitting here hoping that we get a pile of shit. Like, I'm going to watch it. I want it to be good. I just don't necessarily want him to get this undue praise based off
Yeah.
of this assertion that he had the right idea the whole time. Because I don't think we're getting what he had. And there's no way, we'll never be able to prove it. That's the other thing. Like, we'll never know how much of this was his original stuff. We'll never know. So, it'll all just be hearsay from here until the end of time.
So I looked up the most expensive movie, and it's Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides was $378 million, and Justice League was $300 million budget, estimated, I guess. And then you tack on the extra 70. But again, like we said, we don't know how much. How do you split that?
Yeah, I mean, it's two movies,
making
really.
two movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's... You start talking about making two movies, like... Initially, they talked about Infinity War and Endgame filming at the same time as, like, two films, but they announced the budget of that is like $450 million.
Right.
So, I mean, you're looking... It's kind of tough to say whenever you're trying to divvy up that money as you see fit. Speaking of Marvel and Avengers, Disney pushed back a lot of movies, but most importantly, probably to our audience, Eternals and Black Widow both got pushed back to 2021. Well, Eternals was already in 2021. It got pushed all the way back to November. I believe Black Widow moved from November to May. Does that sound right? Yep. So whenever we told you earlier this month that you weren't going to see any big movies in the movie theater after Tenet until 2021, it looks like we're one step closer to being correct on our assumptions. Now we just have, let's see, what's left out there? Soul, which is another Disney movie, which seems like it might go to Disney Plus. Dune is still out there. I feel like there's another one. James Bond, is it still in 2020?
That one's still on target.
Yeah, so we've got a couple still left out there, but I just don't see them. I don't see anyone releasing big movies, especially that James Bond movie after because that's Sony, right, Reggie?
Yeah.
So and the Sony president
is it?
was one that came. I think so. The Sony president's one of the people that came out and was just like, look, we're not releasing giant tentpole movies. If it's not Sony, let me know, but I thought it was. Maybe it's not. Now I'm doubting myself.
Don't doubt yourself. Be strong. Production MGM.
MGM. Close enough. Wait, was that the tiger? Or the lion?
It's a lion.
Lion? Excuse me. I was thinking of Mandalay Bay for a second with the tiger. Anyway, Disney pushed back a ton of shit. And we're probably going to hear more movies being pushed back before the year ends. So, yeah. Anybody else got anything for the movie news?
Do you think all those pushback is because Tenet's not doing well?
Yes. I think if Tenet had come out and done really great at the box office, I don't think there would be changes being made. I think the fact that, at least domestically, Tenet, for all intents and purposes, bombed completely, really made executives sort of stand up and take notice like, okay, people aren't ready and we don't need to push this stuff out.
Yeah, because like I noticed, this wasn't in the news, but you put in the VIP thread that Jordan Peele wanted to push back Candyman because he didn't want people going in theaters too soon, and it's just like, I guess that was probably the smart idea, especially since and I think early on when we were talking about movies opening up, I think I may have said something like, I wouldn't want to be Tenet opening up, but I would have put out something that wasn't going to do well in the first place. And I think we're seeing that was probably the better move. Like, we see a bunch of people in America arguing over masks and social distancing and stuff, but like it seems like when you really put your feet to the fire, nobody's going to go rushing back into the theaters.
Yeah. Big talk, no show, piece of shit. Everyone talking about they're ready to go back. Well, you didn't go back to see Tenet. Maybe you did, but I'm not talking to you guys, but maybe you, the viewer, listener, maybe you went to see it, but a lot of people did.
My drive-in movie theater, this is their last weekend for movies. They're shutting down for the winter.
It's going to get too cold up in Minnesota.
There's nothing for them to, they've played all the old movies.
Yeah, right. There's no reason for them to stick around.
I'm surprised that the movie studio companies didn't jump on the drive-in thing. Like, you would think that with everything going on with COVID and stuff, that this would be a great time to try and bring that back, even a little bit, But like the way that they've been fighting that, like my movie theater, they're just showing a bunch of old stuff, and it's just like I can see Goonies on like any day on like AMC or something. I don't need to pay $30 to see it.
Yeah. No, completely. So, our AMC A-list, Reggie, is paused until December 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not paying until at least then. And I don't see anything getting me back to the theater anytime soon, so we'll see.
I think what's going to happen is I'm going to pay for AMC for a couple of months before I use it again, which I'm okay with.
Same here.
It gets the money, it prevents them from shutting down. I'm cool with that. Like, I could probably pay a whole year worth and never see a movie and still would come out on top.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And, our $25 a month, Reggie's really going to help them.
Right.
It's really, really going to help AMC stay alive during, I almost said renovations, but coronavirus.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on?
Hello?
Hey,
Who is this?
it's the Cinema Chat podcast.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, definitely Scream. You got some news for me?
Now that we're all here, the party can begin.
It's time for Scream News. You thought you were going to get out of the news without some Scream news, didn't you? They are officially shooting in Wilmington, North Carolina. And it's reported that all of the actors have different scripts. So they all have pieces of the script that are different from everyone else's. And the script can change a day or two before they're supposed to shoot a scene. All of this is, of course, is to prevent the actual plot of the film from getting out. So that way, if anyone says anything, it may or may not even be an actual part of the script that they leaked out. So there's a lot of different Scream 5 scripts rolling around amongst the cast. So even they don't know what's really going on. I'm sure some of them do, but many of the newer actors, I would say, probably have a bit of a dummy script. And then it should also be noted that as seen on one of the production chairs, the title of this film seems to be simply Scream and not Scream 5. So we're going to have a Scream 1996 and a Scream 2022 whenever that movie comes out. So that's your Scream news for the week. I don't have like an outro for it or anything, but I guess it's just time to go to the box office.
You just need to get like stabbing noises.
Box office.
I'm gonna get something. I'm gonna get something to play at the end of Scream News. I'll have it next week. This is box office for the weekend of September 18th through the 20th, 2020. Number one, Tenet. $4.7 million. That takes its domestic gross up to $36 million. Big time stuff for old Chris Nolan. Number two, The New Mutants, Reggie. That movie got $1.8 million. Its domestic totals up to $18 million. It's made $35 million worldwide. You ready to admit you were wrong about it yet?
They waited 3 years to make $35 million.
Number three, a movie called Infidel, $1.4 million. Number four, Unhinged, $1.2 million. Number five, The Broken Hearts Gallery at $800,000. And I thought this was interesting. Number six, the SpongeBob movie. The SpongeBob movie made $205,000 this weekend. When did that come out? That's been out since like... Wait, did it just come out in August?
It must have. I didn't know. Well, I'd heard that they were coming out with a SpongeBob movie. I didn't know it was out.
I did not know it was out either. So it's made $4.2 million, and it's been out for 5 weeks. So, yikes. Way to go, SpongeBob. Nickelodeon. Good job. But that's the box office for the weekend of September 18th through the 20th. So, what'd you watch this week? News, box office. Now it's time for our feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
The Devil All the Time. Directed by Antonio Campos. Written by Antonio and Paolo Campos. Starring... Okay, there's a lot of people here. Bill Skarsgård. Tom Holland. Sebastian Stan. Jason Clarke. Robert Pattinson. Eliza Scanlon. Some guy named Pokey Lafarge. Pokey's in this. Riley Koff? I don't know. I think that's how you say it. Little known fact, that's Elvis Presley's granddaughter.
That's a fact.
Haley Bennett. Kristen Griffith. We're getting to people you don't know, so I'm going to stop reading the cast. But mainly Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Bill Skarsgård, Sebastian Stan, Jason Clarke. They're sort of the 5 biggest characters in the movie, I would say. Now, The Devil All the Time is a Netflix movie. Just released this last week. And I watched a trailer a long time ago. Like a couple months ago. And I feel like the trailer didn't really even depict what the movie was about. So I went into this knowing pretty much nothing about this. I went into this movie colder than probably any movie I've gone into in years. Like, I knew nothing about it other than Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson were in it. I didn't know anyone else that was in it. I didn't know Bill Skarsgård was in this. I didn't know Jason Clarke was in this. Like, I just found it out as I went. So, I guess I set all that up to say, is that similar to how you guys came into the movie?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer, and I mean, other than that, like I kind of knew like Robert Pattinson was going to play a preacher, or whatever. I knew that. I thought Tom Holland was in the war, but I guess he wasn't. That was his dad. So I didn't know a ton. I had little pieces, but I didn't have the right dots connected.
I actually go into a lot of the movies we've been watching lately cold. Like if it's not a rewatch or something, like it's just, I don't know, like I find it to be a bit more interesting. That way you don't have any kind of expectations. You're just watching it to watch it. So all I knew was that Tom Holland was in it and it was some sort of period piece.
Okay, now let's tackle the elephant in the room. This movie's fucked up.
It is.
There is dark shit happening at every turn. Like, every time the scene changes, I'm expecting something fucked up to happen. It's unrelenting. You thought, if you've watched Joker and you thought Joker was dark, Joker doesn't have shit on the devil all the time. Like, Joker has its own stuff to deal with like mental health and all of that stuff, which is troubling in its own way. This is just really messed up stuff happening to people over and over and over again. And it just keeps going throughout the movie. And quite frankly, if we hadn't been watching this to review it, I don't know if I would have finished it, because about an hour and a half in, I was just kind of emotionally spent. Like, if anything, I probably would have turned it off and came back to it, because it got to me from
the same way. I was the same way, because it's just like every person. I think I didn't watch it with the watch party, but when I was watching it, I think I texted you guys. I was like, are they just gonna kill everybody I see? Like everybody you see for like the first 15 minutes gets killed, and like in horrible, messed up ways. And it's just like, I felt like I was watching a snuff film, and I was like, what is the point of this? What is even the plot of this? Like, is this a revenge thing? What's going on here? And it's like, it was just a bit much, and I didn't understand the point of it all.
What is it all supposed to mean? We've been here for over 3 hours now.
Knitting.
Dawson, what was your mental state watching this movie?
Oh man, it was just like, okay, one after another, and then you're like, all right, I understand why it's called The Devil All the Time, because it's just, this movie is just evil, and it's just over and over and over. But with that being said, it is really shot really well. It was filmed on 35 millimeter film, which is very rare for Netflix to greenlight.
That's a fact.
And I mean, like, take out all of the depressing darkness. It's a good movie. It's hard to say that it's a good movie because like that, but it is, like, if you're into film and if you're into cinematography, you should probably like this movie. Maybe not necessarily for the content, but for what you're seeing.
Yes.
Maybe if you just watched it and turned off, no, you'd still see some evil shit.
No, I'd still see that dude's penis being cut off.
And for audio listeners, we were all nodding our heads and agreeing with Dawson on that one. I definitely do agree with you on that. Like, from a film standpoint, it's shot beautifully. It's like, it is brilliant in that sense.
It is a technically well-made film. Right. Everything about the technical aspect of the film is almost perfect, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot to like from a film standpoint of this. content of the plot aside.
And I'll even say that the acting is really good. Like, Tom Holland was amazing in this movie, and Pattinson, oh my goodness. As a preacher, dude was devious. And it was just like, you saw it coming, and then when it happens, I was just like, bravo. So, like, I guess it's a weird thing to be like, I didn't like this movie, but everything, like, all the sum, a lot of the parts are amazing, but you put it all together and somewhere it kind of falls apart.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I think it's just because the plot is weird.
So you talk about Pattinson as a preacher, and seeing as I am the resident Southerner-ish, like Southern adjacent person on the podcast, I will say I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a city. But while I don't actively go to church these days, growing up, I was forced to go to church. And we didn't go to church in the city. We went to church where my grandmother grew up, which is in rural Kentucky. And while it's not a snake handling church, or there's not someone pouring spiders on their face, like, it's none of that shit. But it's a Southern Baptist church. So this preacher, like, the way that he speaks and the accent that he has and the way that he says his words and the hand movements and everything, like, Pattinson had it down. What I don't understand is why he chose to raise his voice up an octave.
So
what is that?
I'll say. So here's the thing. I did some research on this because I wanted to know. And Robert Pattinson did a couple things really unique with this. He studied actual evangelical preachers and pop stars from this time period. So he understood, like, what they would sound like, what they'd look like, and kind of meshed them together. And another little fun fact, he didn't work with a dialect coach. He came up with that accent all by himself. No one knew. The director didn't know until the first day. Other actors were sending in recordings and, like, saying, hey, here's my accent, but Pattinson said, no, I'm gonna rehearse this by myself, and then I want to just be self-conscious and go ahead and be judged by everyone in front of the camera. So that's how you know Batman's gonna be good.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
I'll
say this,
I'm impressed with the accent, knowing that now.
Yeah, and it did sound like somebody of the time, you know, like if you listen to like old recordings or things like that, and it does sound like that. And I've been very impressed with Pattinson in the movies that we've seen him in lately. Like we saw him in this, and then the Safdie brother movie, which again, not a movie that I liked, but I loved his performance. And I'm so excited to see what he does with Batman, and I'm so excited to see what he does just from now on in his career. Like, he's becoming a actor that I will see a movie just because he's in it. Like, I haven't seen The Lighthouse, but I'm gonna go and finally watch it because of all the movies that we've seen lately that he's in. Please don't play that.
You laugh, snoring. You goddamn farts! You goddamn farts!
I'll say this about Robert Pattinson. I think he's this generation's Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, when Leo started, he was like this. Oh, everyone loves Leo. He's such a teen heartthrob. When Pattinson rolled in, it was Twilight, and that's like my dad. He's never even seen a Twilight movie, but he's like, he's going to be terrible. I don't want to see him in anything because he was in Twilight. But every movie I've seen since Twilight, he's been really good. So I think I look at those two careers, and I think we'll see Pattinson around for a really long time, and I think he's just going to keep getting better. Yeah, so I think we're gonna, unless he goes weird and just does all method all the time and gets really weird on it, like Joaquin Phoenix, and then comes back out of it. I don't know.
So he's 34 years old. So yeah, he's got quite a bit of career left in him. I think a lot of people are like Reggie. I think a lot of people are coming around on the guy. Like you said, a lot of people only know him for Twilight, but the more and more that he does, and the more things, like, I think being in a Netflix movie actually helps get him seen more, because these Netflix originals, say what you will about the quality of them, I think that these movies get seen by more people than movies that get released in the theaters, just because it's readily available and so many people have Netflix, especially right now where everyone's just looking for anything to watch. I think any Netflix original movie that comes out right now that has a star in it is seen by a ton of people. I think if this movie came out in theaters, it probably wouldn't have half of the audience that it has on Netflix.
Oh, see, I'm usually the one that makes that argument, and I think I feel the other way around. Like, I watched this movie, and while I didn't enjoy the movie.
Are you just trying to fuck with me at this point?
No,
I finally come over to your side.
The movie, I was like, this is the type of movie that I think, like, yeah, like, I think this movie would have, I think critically probably would have done well in theaters, like,
critically.
And I honestly think that this is the type of movie that if it had come out in theaters from another studio or something, I would not be surprised if people were talking about, like, Oscar buzz for a movie like this.
Well, I don't know.
It still could.
Like, I think,
couldn't it? Like, all the other, it still could be up for awards just because that's what we're doing, right? Like, it's
true.
Well, I think technically it had to have a release date, a theatrical release date.
Oh,
and I don't know if this did, but sometimes Netflix releases their films in New York and LA for a weekend so that they get that theatrical run. So it could have had that. I don't know. I think that it's past time. Like, I think we need to just start letting these streaming movies in. If they're of quality to receive the award, I think that they should be nominated for the award.
Me too.
I think they need to have a theatrical run is antiquated.
Yeah. But like I was saying, like, I usually think that Netflix, a lot of their movies aren't quality, or because, like, you look at a movie like Irishman or The Five Bloods even, and even though they have big name directors and actors, they're kind of like passion projects that kind of, they just let people do whatever they want, and you get whatever you get. So, but I think this is actually a legit, honest to God, really great. It's a great film. Which is, it's so weird to talk about this movie because, like, it's a great film, but I did not enjoy the film. I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it.
I mean, I get that. I understand that. I have a hard time sort of deciding whether or not to recommend people watch this, because I myself, like, if someone's like, "Oh, you got to watch this," and then I sat down to watch it, I would almost be angry, as like, God, like, are you just trying to bum me out? Is that what we're doing here? But for someone that really enjoys movie making in films, like, there's so much to get out of this movie aside from the plot and the content. Just the technical aspects and the performances are so great that it almost makes up for all of the terrible feelings I have about the plot. But someone at the same time, Dawson, like your friend, like Men, who like loves film.
I mean, he has a degree, and that's
he's more of a film. We are movie fans. He is a film fan. And I would recommend this in a heartbeat to someone that is a film fan.
He watched it and he loved it.
So that's sort of what I would say. Like, if you have no heart and this kind of shit doesn't bother you, like, you'll probably love it. but if movies sometimes get to you, this might not be the movie for you. But even though I felt like the movie was fucking with me, and I wanted to turn it off, and I probably would have if we weren't reviewing it. I struggle with what score to give it later whenever we give our scores, just because I'm so torn between the actual filmmaking and my enjoyment of the content, or lack of enjoyment of the content. And I don't really know which side wins out in that battle, right?
See, for me, I was just thinking about this. Like, I look back at what's one of the movies that I look at like The Platform as one of those movies that has similar, like, it's gross. There's a lot of like disgust, like bad things that happen in that movie. I would watch this before I watch The Platform again. Like, if you're sitting side by side, I'm definitely going to watch this before I watch that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know I like this more, and I just, when you get over kind of the depressing stuff, and you can, it's like you said, you peel it back, and it's like, it's a good movie, but you got to be in the right, mindset to watch it.
I think I would enjoy it more the second time than I did the first time. Just knowing what's going to happen, like preparing myself mentally for it. I think if I went back and watched it now, I could enjoy it more because I'd be prepared for the things that are going to happen. Whereas with other movies, you might enjoy it less because you already know where it's going. I feel like with this, I would be able to mentally prepare myself for what's going to happen, and I would be able to sort of disassociate my feelings from the content, if that makes sense.
I think for me, it wasn't necessarily the problem. Wasn't all the stuff that happened. Like, I have no problem with like killing. Well, if you kill off a bunch of people in a movie, I get it. It's not necessarily a problem for me. But I guess for me, the problem was I didn't understand the point of killing all these people, because like it didn't seem to really advance the plot at all. And then I felt like a lot of those deaths were just to somehow tie all these people together for the ending, and that kind of didn't work for me. Like, it was like, so all this happened just so that you could get to this particular end, and I was like, that was kind of, I don't know, like, it's small town America, and for all these people to be connected in this type of America, it just seems a bit far-fetched.
Well, it's not this type of America. It is America 70 years ago or whatever.
No, I'm talking about the America of the film. Because it's like, these people, they got around for considering how you had to get around at that time, you know?
Well, I mean, they call it out right at the beginning. It's two small towns and there are a lot of people connected. I mean, I don't know. I didn't grow up in a small town, but I have family in small town Kentucky. And, if there's one person that knows someone 8 cities over and they become friends, and then they get that little circle, it's very easy for two towns to sort of get connected that way with with small groups of people. So I don't think it's necessarily that far-fetched. I don't know. They showed it on a map. I don't know how far apart they actually are. I know they're different states, but I mean, I'm in a different state from Indiana, but I could drive to Indiana in 20 minutes. So it's like, I didn't really get an idea of how far apart they actually were. I mean, it's not like they're going back and forth between them all the time. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that's so much far-fetched. I think my problem with the plot, aside from just the unrelenting sorrow that you get hit with over and over and over, is that you get all of that, and like you said, Reggie, like it sort of advances the plot to get to the ending. Like, I can see how they're stair-stepping to get there, but the payoff that you get at the end, it's almost non-existent. Like, I don't feel satisfied with the end of the story, which I feel like if you're going to have all of that happen, you should at least be satisfied with the way the story ends. And I think that they feel you're going to be satisfied with the way it ends, but it just fell kind of flat for me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think plot-wise it has issues. And not necessarily just because it's content that I'm not enjoying. I think that it has legitimate plot construction issues. So, I guess if you're rolling that into the technical aspect of making the film, that would be the weak spot for it, would be the way that the plot is constructed. But once again, like, I'm enjoying the cinematography and the acting and the choices that the director's making so much that some of that stuff doesn't even really matter to me in the end. It's a tough movie to score at the end of the day for me. And I've sort of gone back and forth. I've fluctuated in my mind over this last week anywhere from one number all the way to like 3.5 points lower, given on how I'm looking at it or how I feel at a given time. Because if I look at it one way, it sucks. If I look at it another way, I'm like, God, they did so many really great things that it almost brings it up. So I don't know. It's a game time decision for me on the score. So I don't know. Did they really have to show that dude with his dick cut off? Was that necessary? Because that's of all the things that happened in this movie, that is it's only a few frames, but that is the lasting memory in my brain from this movie is that one shot of him kneeling over him with just blood everywhere. That's what I took away from this movie. That was the lasting memory, is that one shot. But yeah, just be prepared. Head on a swivel if you're watching this for the first time. Just know that whenever you watch it and 15 minutes in, you turn to your friend and you're like, God, this is fucked up. And I'm sure it's going to get better. It doesn't get better. Just keeps going throughout. Don't get too attached to anyone.
Right?
I only say that it's not really a spoiler if I say it about everyone, right? Like, just don't get too attached. That's all I'll say. I mean, it has everything. It's got child molestation, suicide, cancer. I almost gave a spoiler there, but it's like every way that you could have something go wrong, it goes wrong in this movie.
Animal cruelty,
murder. I mean, dude, the whole animal thing, like whenever it happened, I was like, oh no. And then like 5 minutes later, I was horrified.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Could have done without that.
Those are real spiders, by the way. Real spiders. It's not CGI spiders. Those are real orb weaver spiders.
Hold on. When you say they're real spiders, you're not trying to sell this shit to me that dude dumped a jar full of real spiders on his head?
Those were real orb weave spiders. That's a fact.
I wish I had a "that's not a fact" sound, because I don't believe that.
My sources are never wrong.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that scene because to me, they looked fake as shit.
Well, they were real.
Who wrote that? Who put that fact in there?
I don't know. I'll also tell you this, that your boy Chris Evans was almost cast in this movie, or he actually was originally cast in this movie.
As who?
As Sheriff Lee Bodecker. Which was replaced by his buddy Sebastian Stan.
Fucking Bucky.
That's right.
Bucky Barnes.
It's a fact.
Isn't that crazy?
And that's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's interesting. Also, Jake Gyllenhaal is a producer on this film, who co-starred with Tom Holland in Spider-Man Far From Home.
That's a fact.
I pulled that one straight from the dome.
You know Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland. They also starred in The Lost City of Z together.
I did not know that. Is anybody in there? No, I hit a button and it made a sound. I just wanted to make sure it was still okay. But yeah, no, I did not know that.
Isn't that crazy?
And that's a fact.
That's a fact.
I just played that one a second ago. I should have played a different one.
Yeah, you did.
Should have played this one.
That's a fact.
The Obama fact. All right, anything else, or are we ready to try to give this movie a score?
Yeah, I'm out of facts.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
I'll dive in. I'll go first because I'll set the stage. I liked this movie. It's a hard movie to watch, but I can get past that. I've seen some fucked up things in my day, so I can get past that. It's really well shot. The performances are great. So just with all that being said, even if it's a hard watch, I would still say watch it, and I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, an 8. Reggie.
Okay. I mean, we've said everything that needs to be said. But like Brent, I've been waffling between as low as a 5 and as high as an 8, honestly. And here's why. And it's like, we review, I think if we were a film review podcast, it'd be so much easier. I would just say 8 out the gate, you know?
That's what makes it tough.
Right. But we review movies, so it's more of a, I guess, enjoying the whole experience.
Personal enjoyment.
And, right. So as a personal enjoyment, and I guess that's really what it comes down to, personal enjoyment. But at the same time, I feel like the fact that the plot just wasn't strong enough for me, I don't think that I can weigh it down the way I kind of like in my gut want to, because everything else was so much good. The cinematography, you know how much I talk about cinematography, was amazing. The film, like that, the editing was amazing. The acting, amazing. And even though the plot wasn't the best, the direction, brilliant. And like there wasn't any character on screen that I wasn't captivated with. So like, and even like the overall narration had an interesting touch to it. So like all that, I'll join you, Andy, with an 8. I'll join you with an 8.
Ooh.
We did it.
Ooh.
Because it's really good. Like, I would tell people to watch this. Because you know what? Maybe the plot works for you.
Okay. Well, I will say, whenever I say a 3.5 point swing, I've been anywhere between a 5 and an 8.5. And the 5 was, Reggie, based solely on my personal enjoyment of the movie, which is really, really weighed down by the fact that I did not enjoy the litany of terrible things that happen. Like, I generally don't have a problem with content, and I don't know if it's my older age at this point. Like, I don't know what it was about this, but I was just like, God, like, can't these people catch a break? Was sort of how I felt throughout the whole movie. So personal enjoyment of the it's low. It's a 5. Like I said, I probably would have turned it off and maybe came back to it. But everything else about it is so good. And I roll the plot into that bad part. But the acting, all the direction, the editing, all of that stuff is so great that I go from a 5 to an 8.5 based on how I look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of split the difference. And I'm going to say a 7. But just know that 7 is there because I had such a tough time digesting the terrible shit. If this movie had half of the terrible shit that happened, it would be like a 9 for me. but I had a hard time enjoying it. That being said, I still recognize all of the technical feats and all of that stuff. Like, technically speaking, plot aside, this is masterclass filmmaking. And this guy hasn't directed a ton of stuff. So I'm interested to see where this director goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
What he does down the line. Like, I sort of want to keep an eye on his future work. Because, goddamn, they made a beautiful movie. Aside from all of the child molestation, suicide, murder, penises being cut off, like all of that stuff. They made a beautiful film. So I'm going to give it a 7, but that 7 is tenuous. On any given day, I could go up or down. So I don't know. I don't know if you would call that a cop-out, but that's what it is. That's where I'm at.
I think I would enjoy it more on a second watch.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, now that I know what's going to happen and I'm mentally prepared for it, I think that I would enjoy it more the second time through.
Yeah,
for sure. So, I guess that's going to do it for this week on the Cinema Chat podcast. Join us next week when we review... How do you say this title, Dawson?
The Merowitz story?
Merowitz stories?
I believe it's Merowitz.
Merowitz? Ben
Merowitz
Stiller
stories.
and Adam Sandler. It's a Netflix movie, right?
It is. Yeah, it's I know we hear Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller and we think, but give it a shot. It's got a 92% for a critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I know we kind of take that as what it is, but it has like a 76% audience rating. So it's not like a wacky silly, it's more of like a serious story. So we'll check it out.
Is it already out?
Yeah, it's been out for 2
years. It's like 2 or 3 years old at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Reggie, you're not going to be here next week, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll miss Reggie next week. Let Reggie know that you miss him at Hedonis on Twitter and all that good stuff. All right, we'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.
Hey.
You don't need to follow me. You don't need to follow anybody.
But you can follow us. I'm Brent, and I am...
Ed's not Malcolm.
And he's Rob, and he's...
Rob 1.
There's also Reggie, who is...
Hidon.
We can't forget about Dawson at...
Andy!
_.
Dawson.
Don't forget to follow the podcast at CinemaChatPod on Twitter. And check out our website, cinemachatpodcast.podbean.com.
I'm following you now. I'm just going to follow you everywhere. I'm just going to follow you the rest of my life.
Thanks, Peter. Now, if the rest of you would get off your ass and follow us, that would be great.
Mail, motherfucker.
Oh, and don't forget to send your emails to cinemachatpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Please, send us something. Have a good week, everyone. Goodbye. Dawson, if you could maybe stop yourself from deleting the movie news out of the spreadsheet, that would be appreciated.
You can add this to the news. Hey, do you know that Anthony Campos directed the first episode of the Punisher TV show?
Nice. Let the record show Dawson flipped me off for asking him not to delete the movie news.
You're still here? It's over.
You hit someone with your car.
Go home.
Killed 2 people with his car.
Go.